Many of you have known of Vivian Brady-Ashley, whose collection forms the highlights of the collection of 1950s dolls that we're going to be offering this coming weekend. And I want to tell you that I'm so proud to be able to handle her personal collection. Vivian, people who have known Vivian, when they heard that we were going to be handling her personal collection, they spoke with her of awe. She was one of the dealers that are such a foundation of our whole doll world, because a good dealer instructs people, educates people, and sells them good product and wonderful examples. And so people were really quite pleased to know. I was surprised because I thought when we were going to do her, I always think of Vivian in relation to Alexander dolls. And as you can see from this wonderful bouquet around me, yes, she has many Alexander dolls, rarities, and perfect condition that we're going to be offering in the upcoming auction. However, I was shocked at the Ginny dolls she has. Wonderful examples of Ginny by Vogue and all sorts of costumes, again, all from the golden age of the 1950s, as well as, clear to me, she thought the dolls by Aaronby were really, really good examples of their work. So rather than dwell on them, I'm just going to kind of just twirl dolls around and show you, and you'll know that all of these are forthcoming, and so let's go. I'm just going to start twirling while I'm talking. Okay. Here we go, this beautiful, beautiful girl. I was really taken when I was working on these dolls with how much the certain colors were in favor. And those of you who have listened to me talk about French fashions know that I have always noted the style of the 1870s. The in color was mauve or lavender and cream. And look at how many of the Alexander dolls also have that same color combination. Look at this incredible bonnet with a lavish flower arrangement on it. The wonderful sissy over here. Many of the lavender or blue have moved into lavender from the changeable color taffeta that was used. Another thing that all came to me every time I'm working on these Alexander dolls, where every little detail was so perfect. This woman, Madame Alexander, was a true creator, an incredible entrepreneur, a wonderful doll designer, and most of all, what I really appreciate, because I think it's so hard to find people who appreciate this today, is her attention to detail and excellence. Everything, crisp costumes, fabrics, everything done just so. If something didn't work, look at this little dress. It wasn't just content to have a dress, she had to have little rhinestone accents in the dresses. The bonnets, it wasn't just content to have a bonnet, but perhaps I should make it open top because it might accommodate a certain hairstyle. Perhaps I should add a bit of tulle to it. The way the little Wendykins, for example, could have their classic hairdos, and then you could have the rare examples with the hair looped around to the back in this wonderful costume with the side loop curl. Very, very crisp and wonderful costumes. She clearly was a woman of culture and arts because many of her dolls reflected famous books or famous operas or theater, such as her wonderful Romeo and Juliet pair, which are so extraordinary here. And again, another beautiful girl in a grand robe. And look at her hair, every little detail. I don't think anyone has ever yet done a complete book simply on the hairstyles, the wigs of Madame Alexander, but when they do, they're sure to feature Melanie from early 1960, from the very last sissy-faced models that were made. I want to turn it to the side, and you can see that this is one of the dolls that had the long lashes, those super long lashes, all totally original hairstyle, and beautifully, beautifully maintained. Wonderful doll in perfect condition. And then, of course, her child doll. And her favorite, perhaps of all, going back to literature, arts, and the culture, was her McGuffiana, here in the wonderful burgundy hat and coat and muff, and the hat with the original blue lining. And when we turn her around, you can see all of the back details of her bonnet and her braids and her wonderful lounging costume, okay? And then little Wendykins in her little learn to sew, because she was always involved too, and her dolls were to be teaching objects as well as a beautiful plaything or a beautiful item, but she wanted children to learn to teach. Also, from her collection, and I'm going to just step back and move a few dolls because I think you can see right through to there then. I want to show you some of her other wonderful dolls. Here are some of the dolls that are from different series. Here is this Grand F&B. Now, F&B and R&B, I will tell you, in my opinion, they don't make costumes of the fine stitchery and finishing work as Alexander, but they had a flair for knowing the right style and the right bright colors and the right look. And to find one that is in mint condition like this, for example, is a very, very wonderful example. And on this side, we have Honey, who we have put on our cover just to have a little switch from Alexander dolls. We put Honey, and again, check her costume, this mauve costume. I think this is an exceptional doll. Turning her all the way around. Very, very beautiful. To find dolls with their original tags is wonderful because you can see a bit of where the designers were going in their accessories. And here is Honey, a personality playmate by the Eugenia Doll Company. Not too many dolls are found by this company, but look at that little face. What a sweet character face she has. And to find it complete with the accessory basket, which is, now look at the basket, the weave. Let me turn her around and look at the weave on her hat. Same weave as on the basket. All these little details, we look for them in our antique dolls, and it's time that people who collect the more classic dolls from an earlier period start looking at these dolls to see these wonderful little nuances that make them exceptional. People who collect antique dolls are always looking to have something different or something that's really perfect. And when they don't stop and pay attention to the dolls of the 1950s, they're missing an opportunity to also see dolls from that era that are very, very exceptional. When we think Nancy Ann, we think of storybook dolls, but Nancy Ann also did an entire series that she called her Style Show dolls. And here is a very, very wonderful example of this one with her just original little booklet and her indication that her title was glamorous, and indeed she is. Flower accent on the gown, flower accent in her hair, and then with her tulle wrapping on the back. Very, very beautiful and perfect original coiffure. The one thing that is really important on the dolls from the 50s is that they do have original coiffure and that's beautifully maintained, because that seems to be making all of the difference in them. I'm just talking away, and I hope that while I'm talking, you're getting to see all different versions of the dolls and different models of them. And then on this side we have, and I wanted you to see some of the Ginnies. I think there are maybe 100 Ginnies in this auction, and there's some absolutely great and rare ones. Here's a little Ginny in her original boxed set with her extra costumes, and I wondered, why is she wearing a rain cape? And then I read about her. No, that was her little makeup cape. So when they did her hair, it would have a little cape to put around her shoulders so she wouldn't get anything dusty or dirty. She has jewelry, handbag, all sorts of wonderful pieces. There is another Ginny set in this painted lash version that has still sealed in the original box with all of her other costumes and accessories and little blonde mohair wig. The earliest Ginnies had those mohair wigs of like German dolls, and I love the mohair. That's just my prejudice, that I love them when they come with the mohair wigs. The Coronation Ginny is an outstanding piece because it comes with a very, very rare original plastic case. And you can display it with or without, but the case itself is extremely rare because it's on a base that is designed to allow you to display the doll and stretch out the long purple velvet train that has the gilt emblem at the bottom. She has her scepter, her crown, all of her accessories. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful piece. And then, of course, there are so many of the little childhood costumes that Ginny is wearing that make her so special. As I said, there are about 100 Ginnies here, so you have to pick your favorites. Almost all of them, the earlier painted eye version. Look at this little girl. Is she great? And she has her original wrist tag, and her name is Ballet. So there she is considered to be a little ballet dancer. And that soft mohair wig. Again, the Ginny costumes, to my way of thinking, are not they don't have the finished seam work of the Alexanders, but they were a less expensive doll at the time, and they are so fashionable and precious in their own right. Look at this little girl with her red hair. The red hair is very desirable and hard to find. And Vivian's collection has a really nice group of them with the red hair. And I brought out two others for you to see. Another red-haired girl. Very full, lush hair. And then, skipping back to Alexander for a minute, is a little Alexanderkins in her original basket. She's still tied in, so I can't pull her out. But that's the way you would buy her in the store, and she came with her little extra pajamas and her dress and her curlers and ready for play. And the basket still has the original padding on it. It's a wonderful, wonderful auction, and it's a great area of collecting. I want people to appreciate it because it's the first era of American dolls that became the dominant dolls in the world. During the other periods when American dolls were made, starting with the wooden Schoenhut dolls onto the composition dolls of the 1930s, we were still having other dolls imported from other countries, but by the 1950s, it was the American doll that really reigned supreme. And people like Madame Alexander, who had this unbelievable morphosis of artistry, of entrepreneurship, of marketing, and of management, was able to bring these all together. I constantly talk, when I worked on the Rodney Waller collection, Rodney showed me a photograph of Madame Alexander when she was sitting in the middle of a large convention ballroom filled with men from the toy industry. And there in that whole ballroom with all of these hundreds of men was one woman, one solitary woman, Beatrix Alexander. She was a genius. And it's time that she starts getting recognition beyond the small coterie of people who do collect 50s dolls. Let's expand our horizons. So when you have a collection of fashion dolls or child dolls or character dolls, you have antique bisque dolls and you have dolls from the 1950s in their wonderful original costumes. I hope you'll all be watching the auction and seeing many wonderful things. We'll be getting a catalog. It's online now, Theriault.com. Go to the bid online for the proxy bid link, or go to issue at Theriault.com and click on there. You can see an actual digital copy of the catalog, or better yet, get a copy of the catalog. I'll look forward to talking to you more. Thanks so much.